Hey, this is Chetan. Welcome to CSS Dev and UX. Today we'll be talking about Datalist. Datalist is a HTML element that you can use in combination with uh, inputs to give predefined options to your input elements. So what does it look like? So this is a typical form field asking for your favorite fruit, and this is input type text. So typically you would type in your answers and then move on to the next field. What Datalist does is it gives you predefined options. So if you click on it, it gives you a drop down of predefined options as specified by the developer that you can choose, or you can even filter out the options, or you can start typing and then it will start filtering out the options and make your job easier. Of course, if you can't find your option, you can still use this text field as a normal text field, and then this would be registered on form submission. So this is pretty helpful. This can improve the user experience in filling forms, especially forms that are long, where users can predict, where developers can predict some of the predefined options and present it to the users beforehand. Okay, so now does it work? How does it work? So in a typical input field with a type of text, all you need is an additional attribute called list and give it a name. So I've given it fruits. And then below the input I've used a tag called data list with the ID of fruits. So this data list is gets binded to this input element. And then this has options: apple, mango, grape, strawberry, and orange. So if I use, there's an indication here of a drop down arrow. If I click on it, first I have to clear it, and then if I click on it, I see my data list options that I've preloaded. And if I start typing it, it filters out. Perfect. So this was input type text. A typical input type text will not have these things. So this is a good extension that people can use. So what about a different input type? Let's say an input type of date. So an input type of date, normally the browser renders their own version of a date picker that looks like this, at least in Chrome, where users can select month, date, and year. But now if you have to add a data list to this input type, so again the same technique, you give it an attribute of list, give the attribute a name, and create a data list with the same ID, and then add your options. So I've added three options, but here I've not kept it self-closing tag option. I've added label, a value, and then a closing option tag. So now if I click on the date picker, so it gives me the value 14 September. It gives me a label, and then it also, if I don't want any of these options, I can click on other. That will open the typical date picker of Chrome. So this is perfect. In Chrome, we get additional options inside the options tag to show label and the value. So now people can try to imagine different scenarios where this would be helpful and use it in their websites and apps. So this is how it works inside input type date. So does it also work in different other input types? So I tried it out with input type color. So input type color, again, a typical input type color opens the browser's color picker. So this is Chrome's color picker, where I can select a color and then proceed. Uh, but with the data list combined with the input type color, if I click on it, here I've added four options: value and the property, the name of the color. So it's red, green, uh, blue, turquoise. So if I see here, I get red, green, blue, turquoise. And if I click other, then it opens the traditional color picker. So this is great. So this works on three different type of inputs. Typically, I would imagine most of the people would want to use it in input type text, but be aware that it's also available with other input types, and make use of it wherever possible, wherever you feel you can make your users or visitors a job a little bit easier. So now what about support? does it have enough support? As of recording this video, I head on to can I use, and I search Datalist element, and I was surprised it has good enough support. So Edge, Chrome, Safari covers it completely. Firefox unfortunately has partial support, so we'll get to this in a minute. Over on the mobile side, you have Chrome for Android with full support, and you have iOS Safari also with full support. So these has decent support, but you can check yourself in your projects and decide whether you do want to use it or not. In case you do use it and the browser doesn't support it, it won't break anything because it will fall back to the normal usage of that input. So here's it's a very low risk usage. Even if it doesn't work, it still can typically act as your normal input if it doesn't give you this option. So I would suggest to go ahead and use it. So while I was at it, I also checked. I'm on Mac and this is Chrome. So this is how it typically looks in Chrome. I also checked the same in Firefox and Safari. So let's just check that quickly. Um, so this here is Safari, and if we see there's a different way of displaying it, but it essentially does the same thing. In Chrome, we were additionally getting a drop down icon here. In Safari, we don't get the icon, but as soon as I click on it, the drop down opens, and if I type, this starts filtering in. And if the option is not there, I can still enter. I use it as a normal input field. So this was input type text. Input type date does the same thing, but in Chrome, we were getting the value and the property. Here it was Sam's birthday, Independence Day. Let me show you quickly. So here we had the value and the name, and here we sorry, in Safari we just have the value, so no name. And in color picker, on top, here's the Safari's version of color picker, and on top I see my predefined options. I just added 4, but if I add more, this would probably show up here. And the normal color picker in Safari looks like this. So there's a swatch up on top. So the swatch gets replaced with the predefined options that I added. So this can be used for people to show their last selected option. If developers have that option, can populate it inside Datalist and can show up here the next time user tries to pick the same color. So this was Safari. In Firefox, hang on. Yeah, in Firefox there is limited support, so I could only find support in the input type text field. If I single click on it, nothing happens. If I start typing, it gives me the drop down option and starts filtering it. And if I double click on it, I see all the options. Single click does nothing, and there is no drop down icon here also. Unfortunately, the input type date doesn't show any predefined options, and same goes for input type color. That also doesn't show any predefined options. So Firefox at the moment doesn't have that much support, but as you can see that even without support, it's low risk because the color picker or the date picker still works as you would imagine without the data lists. So yeah, that's about it. That's all that we wanted to discuss about Datalist. I would recommend you to go ahead and research more and use it in your projects. Okay, cool. So if you found this video helpful, please do share it with your friends. Also, like the video, subscribe for more such videos on CSS development and UX. Thank you.